what is up, YouTube? It's Muse. I'm back with another off meta, and this time we have the ship that won the last poll. Asked you guys what you wanted to see, and it is the ship everyone loves to hate. It is gonna be the Florida today. So the Florida is very interesting, gets a lot of hate. It is definitely an off meta. Not a lot of people like to play this thing. So we're going to talk about it, we're going to talk about why people don't like to play it, and we're going to talk about what we do with Florida. Not a completely bad ship, but it is definitely not ideal, not the best. So let's go ahead, get into it, take a look at it, and see what we got going on with the good old Florida, the one you guys wanted to see. So we're going to take a look at the builds and stats that I'm going to be running for these following clips. We're going to go with AA build all around. Florida is just a very good AA ship. It is basically a North Carolina class, but AA version. Not exactly the same as North Carolina, we'll get into that. So we're going to run the catapult fighters, just better than any of the other two options for us. And then let's take a look at the mods. For mod slot 1, we have the AA guns. For mod slot 2, we have propulsion. And in the third slot, we're running concealment. Those are kind of going to be the best options we have. Looking at the commander, we have Kong. And for the base trait, we have AA damage. For Inspiration 1, we have a firing range with King. And AA damage with Yamaguchi. Then over to perk slot 1, we're going to be running No Fly Zone. That's going to give us AA and damage end range. Tear off the wings in slot 2. That is going to be damage. Firefighter in slot 3 for the cooldown on damage control. And in slot 4, we're going to have Master Mechanic for repair party. Now, solo, I run Fight Fire with Fire, but Will to Rebuild works very well on this because you're an AA ship. You're going to be sticking with other ships a lot to give them protection, so... But I tend to run the Fight Fire with Fire. So for hit points, we have 63,800, 26% torpedo damage reduction. Artillery, you have 12,356 millimeters, 33.5 second reload, which is not good at all. That's one of the reasons why people don't like this ship. But it does have very good HE. You get to the 8 HE shells over the front with 22% fire setting chance. Secondaries, don't even worry about them. Fairly useless. AA 100% rating. So we have 37 20mm Oerlikons. We have 3 times 2. So 6 40mm Bofors Mark 1s, 4.7 range. Bofors Mark 2, we have 32 of those, and they're going to go out to 4.7. Then the 127s are going to go out to 6.7, and there's 4 of those. So really, once something comes inside 5 kilometers, it gets chewed up pretty quick. Maneuverability, 27.8 knots. Another reason people don't like this ship is just not a lot of speed. The turning is pretty good on it, even though we're running a propulsion mod. And the concealment is going to be 12.4, which is decent for a battleship. Not anything great, but we're not running any kind of concealment build. Armor, very weak. Really don't want to be playing, you know, tanky tank with this thing. Then take a look at the Citadel. Above water, exposed. It's not a good scene. So yeah, you don't want to really think of like the Marbra. Think small guns, a lot of HE. You know, when you get the shots, you can go to AP, and then you really have to kind of be defensive. You can't, you know, sitting there be tanking. You can get smashed through the bow on this thing. If you turn broadside, you know, you can get deleted. That high Citadel gets you in a lot of trouble. So yeah, just think of like British BBs like Marlborough or Monarch. those kind of situations where you have the smaller guns and just not very tanky as far as your armor scheme goes. So let's get into some gameplay. So this first clip is going to come from a non-carrier match. Didn't save the whole battle. Gets kind of boring after this initial encounter here. So what we have right off the bat is an Akazuki and Cop, and then 2 Brandenburgs on the far side. So they are tier 7s, we're a tier 6. Brandenburg does have these smaller guns though. But what these 2 guys are going to end up doing is basically like YOLOing down this way. The second one's a bit more conservative than the first one. The first one really commits hard. He tries, you know, thinks he's going to get into a brawl with me, and I'm just not having that. I don't have secondaries, I don't have torps. That engagement does not favor me at all. And I do see I have support coming behind me, so we're just kind of trying to bait these guys in so that the guys behind me can really do damage on them. Because they're really focused on me. They see a Florida and they're like, oh, I can crush a Florida. So basically, I want to tank here and I want to play bait. It is ideally what I want to do. Now you'll see me wiggling a lot. The reason for that is I can be smashed through my bow. I can be smashed through my cheeks. I don't have the most amazing belt. My Citadel's raised. Like, there's not a lot of good ways to tank with this. The best thing I can do is kind of keep just what they like to call the Dreadnought Shuffle, as Spartan likes to call it. So yeah, we're just gonna do that wiggle, try to change our angle a lot, so it's kind of hard to really pick where they want to fire at. And as you can see, that first Brandenburg did not last very long. You know, he was completely obsessed with me, and wasn't paying attention to the ships behind me that were, you know, chunking his HP. And so the second Brandenburg decides they want to try it. I'm gonna come back up again. I'm just playing bait. Giving them the illusion that, you know, oh, I'm gonna come up here and brawl with you. And what you're gonna see is a couple times they look for that torp option, thinking, oh, I'm you know, gonna get close enough to torp. And I'm not having it. Like, no, I'm not coming up there to brawl with you. You're a Brandenburg, I am a Florida. I'm an AA ship in a non-AA game. You know, there's no carrier in this game. So I'm trying to be effective. You know, I posted that other video today about how to be effective when you don't have a good build or a good ship. And so I'm trying to consider what makes me effective in this battle. And it's basically drawing fire for the people with better guns, you know? Use up my HP pool, use up, you know, draw people out of position so that other people can capitalize. I don't have the best guns for this match. And, you know, I'll end up bagging this DD and this cap, and I'll end up getting into it with a DD that is going to be over at Bravo, which I didn't include in this clip. I get into it with Nagato. Don't kill him, but I draw fire. And as you can see, I no longer have the Brandenburg's attention. Somebody has pulled up next to me. So that is where the attention is going to go. But we're going to get to bag those Sakazuki, which is kind of nice. Again, over the front, I have that 8 HE shells. And the dispersion and grouping on this ship naturally are really good, so it just doesn't need a dispersion build. So why not go with an AA build? Yeah, so that's that clip. So this next clip is really gonna kind of start to show where this ship shines. And where this ship shines is AA. And the AA threat, and the way you can control, it's kind of like a California in regards to AA. Like, when a carrier sees it, it has to respect that you're there. It can't just walk all over your teammates. It can't just control that portion of the map. So what I tend to like to do early in matches where there's carriers is I like to look and see which side the carrier's on, or where the carrier's attacking. And then that's where I want to go with the ship, ideally. Kind of the best thing I can do with this ship. Yeah, again, you have that long reload on the guns. They're smaller guns. So this thing does lend itself to cruiser hunting. It does lend itself to, you know, when DDs are spotted, taking them out. But it doesn't really do well in BB to BB combats. Your armor's no good for it, and, you know, you're shooting small shells. But what this ship is ideal for is the AA. And it doesn't matter if it's a tier 5 carrier or a tier 7 carrier, they have to respect your AA. They really do. And a tier 7 carrier might be able to get, you know, a drop or two on you, but they're still gonna get chewed up at the end of the day. Like, that's a lot of AA getting spit at them. So they're telling me to get back, but I don't think they understand. Like, I'm trying to offer our DD a protection. I see where the carrier is. He's over on this side. So, and that was kind of cool. I got that Citadel first blood kill on Iowa. Totally earned it. Not. So yeah, what I want to be doing is giving my team that effective AA, and you see what happens here. The carriers on this side of the map, early on, they have control of this Charlie cap. RDD's afraid to go in there because it's Cleveland, because of the carrier over here. So we're working on the Cleveland with the guns. We're trying to stay in range where I can give AA, but yeah, I do have to watch those torps coming from the BB. So we're kind of throttle jockeying here. You know, this isn't going to be the most amazing of fights. We're not going to have tremendous damage. What this is showing off is the ability to control a cap. Like, we already have 6 planes shot down. And this is pretty early into this fight. This is, you know, 4 minutes in. We haven't really pushed forward yet. This carrier's basically gonna make one more run over us, and when he gets, you know, his plane sacrificed, he's gonna be done messing with us. So we're really gonna get brave here. I really want to make sure I'm giving these 2 DDs AA support. So we have fire. We know Richie doesn't like fire. We're gonna go ahead and take that shot, because we have quite a bit of fire for Richie. He's at range, so we didn't get that many hits, which means, you know, not the greatest chance for fire. Here comes this carrier, though, and just look at the shot down. Like, his planes are just getting chewed up. Does get a drop here. Gets 2 torps in on us. Doesn't do a whole lot of damage with those. Richie is mostly chewed up at this point. And we have the C-23 kind of lingering out here. But as you can see, we've turned this cap. Our team's able to push in. We've killed the 2 BBs over on this side. We're about to bag this DD, and that really lets us go after this carrier. And, you know, he's not doing too well because, you know, he's getting his planes tore up. So I'm at 15, and he's basically gonna ignore me at this point and start going after this other BB. Like, he knows knows he's in trouble. He's trying to get whatever damage he can before he gets back up. Now, I'm going to try to push up behind these guys and offer them a support. They're so thirsty for this carrier at this point, they don't care. So, unfortunately, I'm not going to get very many more kills. I will get some AA in here kind of towards the end, but that's it. That's what the ship does. The next fight, you're really going to get to see the AA kind of shine. We get to do what we do. This fight, the carrier wanted to run away, back corner. He's getting pushed by a DD and a battleship. While he was coming at me, his planes were getting tore up. You can see a lot of the team came to that side. Now this clip is going to be really the bread and butter. This isn't even a clip, this is actually going to be an entire fight. But this is where we're kind of bringing it all together. The way you tank with it, like I said, you don't want to be, you know, bow tanking things. You don't want to be exposing your cheeks. You don't want to be, you know, belt tanking is kind of okay if you're really good with it. So basically belt tanking and just shuffling, trying to get them to miss their aiming point is how you're going to tank with it. For damage, you know, again, cruisers, we're going to go AP on them. Ships, battleships, depending on what it is whether we're going to go HE or AP. Also depending on the direction it's facing. And again, with carrier games, this is the ideal situation for this ship. You want to be providing your team with AA. So we did what we said we'd do earlier. We kind of sat back, watched where the carrier was. We know he's over here on this Charlie side. So that's where we're going now. We're taking our ship to Charlie. We want to give our guys AA. And that's the advantage of having a Florida on your team. It is not the firepower, because with that almost, you know, 34-second reload, you don't have the DPM, and even if you set a fire, it's 34 seconds before, you know, you can fire again, and most of the times, that's not going to give you a very long burn time on a second fire before they can DC it, you know, so just really not good in that regards. Speed, also not good, so you kind of want to position early to be able to do the carrier thing, which is why we waited to see where the carrier was and before we committed, you know, like that's a thing that you have to kind of do in this ship is see where that carrier is, where he wants to attack before you commit, because you're not going anyplace fast. So we're going to end up earning a clear sky and a dreadnought in this fight. Along with getting some decent gun damage. So that, like, again, this is taking all three of the things I've been talking about and incorporating it in one fight. You know, again, it's not the most highest scoring game, not the highest damage, but it's a very effective fight, and it's a fight where we're able to influence the outcome of it. And that AA is super important, you know, especially for like DDs and people that don't have good AA. So as you see right now, we have no shootdowns, because it took us a minute to get over here, but now we're here. And we're gonna have this carrier's attention here in a second, because, you know, he's gonna be attacking our friends. And we're gonna help with this, Scharnhorst that's over here to my right, but their biggest problem is these two BBs bottom side of Charlie, particularly the North Carolina, because he can pretty much punch us through the bow, through the cheek. There's not really a good angle to tank him. And you're gonna see when he smacks me good. And there's not a whole lot I can do with that, so really, like, he needs to go. Scharnhorst has smaller guns. I can tank Scharnhorst. New Mexico is a tier lower. So not quite huge issues for me. But that North Carolina, same class as me as far as the hull. Florida is a prototype of the North Carolina. But the biggest difference with North Carolina is the guns, where Florida gets, you know, more guns, they are smaller. Carolina's gonna get bigger guns. They hurt. They hurt a lot. But basically the North Carolina's gonna have the same speed and armor scheme.
The ship is on fire!
But those guns definitely have the advantage of being able to punch me in ways I cannot punch back. Now luckily he's pretty beat up.
Problem solved, sir.
Again, I'm trying to be as tanky as possible. I'm also trying to understand my limitations at this point, and taking on a North Carolina nose-to-nose is definitely a limitation for me.
Main turret critically damaged.
So what I'm gonna do is try to get behind this island and disengage with this North Carolina, so like hopefully the guys behind me can deal with that. But at the same time, I've got my AA in the fight, as you can see. Got a low shot on that Mexico, so we're gonna take it.
The ship is on fire.
And now this North Carolina sees me going behind this island and decides he really wants a piece of me. So he's gonna come YOLOing out from behind this island. And now I'm originally planning on engaging this New Mexico back behind the island, but I see what this North Carolina's doing, so I'm like, alright, let me get my guns to this corner. And we're just waiting on him.
Problem solved, sir.
Little buck gun of justice. There we go.
Our team has taken the lead.
Then this New Mexico, I'm not sure what to do with him. I really want to go after this carrier. It's kind of what I specialize in. But I have to deal with this New Mexico. So he gets a nice little piece of me right there. But then starts pushing past this island, so there's a certain point where I'm like, okay, he's gone far enough that, you know, I've got a BB coming behind me. So I'm guessing, like, I'm thinking, okay, well, that guy can, you know, engage him. So I start turning back for this carrier. I don't have the HP to be in that engagement with the New Mexico, and I think New Mexico becomes aware of that because he sees me turn out to go after his carrier, and he's gonna start backing up instead of pushing out.
The ship is on fire.
There's the clear sky right there. Doing what Florida does, just tearing up this guy's planes.
Problem solved, sir.
Now we're doing the best we can to tank this New Mexico, and just waiting for our guy to get a shot on him and delete him, basically. I'm more interested in this carrier, like that's what I am, is basically anti-CV. As I'm pushing down to where this carrier is, I'm preventing his planes from coming out, plus I'm taking focus off of the guys behind me, so I'm preserving their HP. by offering myself as a target to the CV. Because now I've definitely got his attention, I'm the closest thing to him. So he's just gonna keep coming at me with these planes. And because he's coming at me, he's not harassing my teammates, he's not bothering them. We've already got a massive ship advantage. Like, we've gotten some damage in, we've gotten, you know, done some tanking, done some shooting down of planes. Like, this is kind of a good Florida game, you know, where you're doing all these things. You're making effective use of this ship, because it's not very good as a straight up tank. It's not very good as a straight up, you know, battleship killer, like. And it's the utility of it, the being able to support your team in carrier games, or in non-carrier games, being able to bait, you know, shots, being able to bait fire off your teammates. So there we go ahead and bag that carrier. Team loves that, because, you know, everyone hates CVs. So this game's pretty much a wrap. From here on out, you know, gonna go chasing carriers across the map that probably never even get shots on. So that's Florida. That's how I prefer to play it, as an AA. You know, that's its strength, is AA. So that's the way I play it. I play AA ships a lot, so, you know, pretty handy with them, and pretty good at playing, you know, counter CV. Playing as much CV as I do, I understand the mentality of CV players, I understand the different types. You know, there's the ones that'll go spot your DDs, and there's the ones that go farm damage on BBs. And you can tell fairly quick which type somebody is. And either way, you know, I've got treats for them at almost every tier, every class. I have, you know, various AA builds. They're not always what you would expect. Florida has good natural AA, but with a Kong AA build on it, it becomes in the realm of a California, in the realm of, you know, a lot of other American battleships, as far as AA goes, and it can protect your team, and it can change a battle. And especially if you're willing to wait early, see where the carrier is and what lane he's committed to, and then you commit yourself to that lane. And I've literally had carriers disengage and go all the way across the map because they got tired of getting their planes shot down by me. That's what Florida does best, so that's how I play it. Thank you, I hope y'all enjoyed, and I will catch you next time. Appreciate you.